Zoon, when it comes to people as someone who is from another country who live in China for the past 3 years during the pandemic, what's your experience? I mean, how challenging is it? And what's your sense about being safe or being unsafe in terms of the virus or infection?
Chindu, there's so much to unpack on this. One of the things I started doing when initially China was considered the hotspot, initially when the cases broke out in Wuhan, was to try as best as I could become one of the many voices coming out of China to global media to help them understand we over here are feeling safe. What China is doing is indeed setting a precedent for countries to deal with the extraordinary situation that has obviously come about, and it's a global challenge in that sense. So over these years, I mean, if I also in retrospect look at some of the unfortunate phases that many countries, including my own, went through, for example, the Delta variant, the way it was a self-help situation for many, and so many lives in the process were lost. Many frontliners, share their stories in other parts of the world where they felt as if there is a lack of control or a lack of prioritization of how to contain the situation. And in China, we saw that consistently. Not only was there a sensible way of, a country level policy to manage resources on a nationwide level, to do smart lockdowns where required, and to absolutely ensure that people felt safe. This set an example for many countries across the world. And of course, we know that in 2022, the variant was much more contagious. The extent of, people having to stay home increased. But at no point did people feel unsafe. At no point did people feel that, they're on their own and they have to deal with this on their own. And of course, I mean, the way China has opened up, the way China has, moved past the zero COVID policy, also took months of planning, which is why we see that within 2 months, things are back in motion. And today we are talking about not having to wear masks in schools, not having to worry about, falling sick, and seeing that people are traveling a lot inbound and outbound. So I obviously felt safe. And I see that there are countries across, especially developing countries, that learned a lot throughout these 3 years from China's policies and from the way China has managed this challenge indeed.